right, so here we are with round 3 of the Modern League that I played with Abbot Zoo. We won the die roll, so we're going to be playing first. So let's see the opening hand we got here. It's a one-lander with two Nacatls, Tarmogoyf, Pride Mage, Smiter. If we were on the draw, I'd say this hand is fine to keep, but being on the play against an unknown, I don't think it's good enough, so I believe we mulligan down. We find a Tarka's Command and 5 lands, which is also just a no-go for us, so we're going to mulligan that up to 2, I believe. We go to 5 and have complete spells, so we're going to 4. And honestly, for 4, this is probably the best you could ask for in this deck. Double Nacatl would probably be the only better hand. 2 fetch lands, 2 Nacatls is probably the best 4 you could ask for. But we're going to make do with what we have. So we're going to play Windswept Heath, get Stomping Ground, and just throw out a Nacatl right away. And we're playing against a Lightning Bolt deck. So we're just going to play this Curdape, play the Windswept Heath, and we're just going to buffer with it, holding up this path. We see Swift Spear. He cracks into Lightning Bolt on our Curdape. We're going to let that happen, but in response, we're going to get a Sacred Foundry, round on our mana, and we're going to path the Swift Spear in response, just to keep our life total a little bit high. If he's taking the time to bolt our creatures and not us, we can use a little bit of life. Finding Dromoka's Command is great. It would be even better if we had a creature to back that up. But I'm not going to complain on a mull to 4. Our opponent has his 4th land and doesn't play anything. So we're going to play Curdape, which is a fantastic draw. Thank you, deck, for cooperating. If it was like a Loxodon Smiter, I'd be pretty upset. Our opponent is going to fetch and Skullcrack us, which is fine, I guess. Rift Bolt is coming off Suspend. We're going, and he's going to target the Curdape, which I always love seeing that. We could be very dead here, but we're not, because he's tossed three bolt effects at our creatures. Temple Garden is fine. We'll drop that down, and now we basically are going to have to use Dromoka's Command as negate and negate only. So we're going to do it right here, right now, on Atarka's Command, which is fine. So we save ourselves 3 damage. He's going to bash back with an Atarka's Command and a Lightning Bolt. We're going to have a Lightning Bolt of our own. And if he blitz a creature, we can bolt it, but he's not. His end step, we find Arid Mesa. He's got 1 card in hand, sitting on 5 lands. We haven't seen white, which is fine. Goblin Guide, we're going to let that attack and then bolt it. If that's all he has, that's fine for us. It doesn't show what it is. I really don't like that. So we're going to bolt in response. It wasn't a land, obviously, which is great, because we don't want lands. It was a Loam Lion. Loam Lion is always welcome. So there's Loam Lion. We have a little bit of pressure on board, but we're at 5. Our opponent's at 18. He's kind of flooding out. He has Skullcrack, 1 more card in hand. Don't know what it is quite yet. We're going to go to 1. The difference between 2 and 1 is nothing. So we're going to allow that to happen. We're going to hold up this Loam Lion just in case he has Goblin Guide or Swift Spear. While we're at 1, we don't want to just die to one of those. At this point, we find Curdape, so we're going to go ahead and swing a Loam Lion. I'm going to do very little here and hang it on by the skin of our teeth here for a long time. Opponent finds Shard Volley, so we're just dead. Alright, so mull to 4, not so great against Burn in the blind. Game 2, we're going to start off, or also going to be on the play again. Our hand is Temple Garden, 2 Nacatls, Mountain, Abbot, Windswept, and Dromoka's Command. So this hand is fantastic. We're going to go ahead and just drop down the Temple Garden right away. That allows us to use this Windswept for a Plains if we need to, for Core Firewalkers if we find them. And it'll also allow us to display Mountain next turn for Nacatl. Which, to be honest, Mountain, Temple Garden is not really what you want when you're also holding Dromoka's Command. So I believe we're just going to swing for 3 off the bat. So our opponent suspended a Rift Bolt on her turn. That's what happened. So we swing for 3, and then we are going to just drop down an Abbot in the blind. Nope, we're playing Nacatl. I think we were contemplating Abbot in the blind, but I think the upside of Nakatl is just higher. It's a better target for the Rift Bolt. So that's what's going to happen. He's going to Rift Bolt our Nakatl instead of us, which again is fantastic. He's going to follow it up with the Goblin Guide and a Swift Spear, so we're going to take a little bit of damage here, not having a Lightning Bolt in hand. But we are going to get a Sacred Foundry off the Goblin Guide. We're going to take 3 down to 15. And then we're going to be able to untap and just have a fantastic follow-up. So we play the Abbot here, mostly because we can just follow it up with Nakatl, and just building a board presence is probably better at this point of the game. He can't deal with all of the creatures. There's also an argument for playing Nakatl and holding up Tremoka's command. But we do find a Wooded Foothills off of our Abbot, which is fantastic for this point of the game. So we're going to use that to fetch up a forest and play the Nakatl from our hand. And we're going to get aggressive. We're going to swing for 3. And we're going to hold back our blockers that obviously we can't swing with quite yet. I think maybe the Nakatl hold up Tremoka's command line was probably more effective at this point in the game. But getting Abbot down allows us to push more damage right away. And our Abbots are hitting very well here. So we're going to lead off with another Abbot. And either way, even if we didn't hit something, hit a land with that Abbot, we could still drop down a Windswept Heath and hold up this Tremoka's command, or even just drop down a Sacred Foundry and play Abbot, the second Abbot, and just really flood him and hope to find an Atarka's command, or just Lightning Bolt in general would be fantastic. So we're gonna get aggressive with everyone and make them have it, essentially. So here, he double blocks our Nakatl with Goblin Guide Swift Spear and has 2 mana up and has 4 cards in hand. So we're kind of expecting this Nakatl to die. We can just fire off Tremoka's command right away, but we're going to play it patient. We're going to let this 5 damage just go through, take him to 9. We're going to assign the damage as we see fit. We're going to kill the Goblin Guide and let the 1 damage linger. In our second main, we're going to go to end step and see what he does. I let him be the proactive one, and if we need to, we can always fire off this Tremoka's command to counter a spell and kill this Swift Spirit anytime. So he's actually going to he's going to fire off the Skullcrack. So we don't get to negate, but we do get to put a counter on a creature and fight. So that's what we're going to do here. In response to his Skullcrack, we are going to put a 1/1 counter on our Nakatl and fight off the Swift Spear that already has a damage put on it. And in response to that, he just conceded. He couldn't really keep up at that point. He was too far behind on board and having no creatures. Probably just had lands in his hand at that point. And we were in a very commanding position, being able to play Abbot next turn and swing in with at least 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage, regardless. Could be more depending on what kind of spells we found. So for game 3, we're going to be on the draw. Whoops, let's hopefully not go too far. So our opening hand is Helix, 3 lands, Kurdape, Seal of Fire, Core Firewalker. Hand is fantastic. I can't be upset with it. We're going to do our best to play Seal of Fire on turn 1. So we're probably just going to play the Sacred Foundry because we want to be able to Core Firewalker on 2. I don't recall if we play Seal of Fire or Kurdape on turn 1. We'll find out. Our opponent just goes Mountain Swift Spear. So we're going to go to 19. And yeah, we're just going to Sacred Foundry. And I believe we just Kurdape. No, we do Seal of Fire. And I think we just kill off. Yep. We're gonna be very proactive here. We're just going to kill off the Swift Spear while we have the chance. And putting an enchantment in the graveyard. And using the best use of our mana that we can. Follow up next turn with Core Firewalker. No matter what we're doing here. Preserve life total. Getting just plains. And this way we can pretty much play this Kurdape into Core Firewalker, Lightning Helix into Core Firewalker, and we're just gaining all kinds of life. And our opponent is not throwing things at our face, which is great. So his end step, he does nothing. He literally did nothing that entire turn. So we find Forest, which is great. We are going to Loxodon Smiter and swing for 2. So our opponent takes the 2. And we're just going to say go. And end step, lightning bolt is coming to our face. So we'll take 2. Thanks to Firewalker. Second lightning bolt, we'll take 4. Thanks to Firewalker. Lava spike. So he's just going all out trying to burn us through Firewalker. Second lava spike. So we went bolt, bolt, spike, spike. And we're down to 8. So we took 8 damage in the span of 1 turn. But our opponent is in for a nice surprise when we untap and gain 4 life. We're going to gain 5 life, actually, because we're going to play the Curt Ape. So we're going to gain 1 life from Curt Ape. We're going back up to 8, which just negates the fetch that we took. Then we're going to gain 4 life here, thanks to Helix and Core Firewalker. And we're going to swing for 6. And at that point, our opponent types was GG, can't beat that, which is very true. He could have all the burn in the world, and he's just not going to fight through this Core Firewalker. And this other Lightning Helix we have in our hand is a very, very good insurance policy we have out against burn. So that was round 3 against burn in our modern league. Stick around for round 4. Thanks.